So I've had this idea for a video for several months, but it's really hard to talk about and it makes me feel really vulnerable and it's a lot to talk about, so add in executive dysfunction issues and it's been a long time coming, but I'm gonna try my best. When I have a meltdown, I feel very childlike and vulnerable. I cry, I rock, hyperventilate. I may flap my hands because when I'm in a meltdown, my hands go numb and tingly and it feels really awful. So I'm like trying to shake the blood back into my hands. I might, flap my hands for that. The weirdest thing for me is when I have this vocalization that comes from my throat and it's not something that I'm doing on purpose. It's just my body making a distress sound. Usually there's like a tiny spark of light inside of me going, why is this happening? This isn't that big of a deal. Everything's gonna be fine. But it's just this tiny, tiny part of me that feels that. The rest is like, oh God, oh no. It's very different from like an anxiety attack or a panic attack for me. They're very, very different creatures. So I think of a meltdown as being an external, loud explosion. Like a lot of people talk about the Coke bottle kid where they'll mask and mask and mask at school and then they get home and they explode. And they have that meltdown at home because it's like a built-up shaking the pop bottle and then bam. I generally don't have a lot of meltdowns. There have to be very specific conditions. I'd say like maybe 3 or 4 in a year, depending. The last one was when I was going to a new doctor for the very first time, and his office is on a huge campus. There's tons of people, crowds, lots of noise, lots of different people passing, lots of loud lights, and then the waiting room had a bunch of beepers going off too. And to further confuse the situation, it was going to be the first time I told a doctor about my diagnosis as being autistic, and then I had been having this headache for like a month and a half or so. So I just, as I was approaching the desk, I just started thinking, I can't do this. I'm in so much pain. Getting into this building has been really sensorily awful, and now I have to talk and like explain myself, and I don't know if he's gonna believe that I'm actually autistic. And I just like felt it coming on, and I turned to my husband and I'm like, I can't do this, and I just started melting down. Fortunately, the staff at the clinic I go to were really, really good about it and let me go to a quiet room to calm down, and that was ideal. I don't know what I would have done otherwise. I have a lot more shutdowns than meltdowns, and I didn't know until probably like 9 or 10 months ago that shutdown was a thing. I didn't have a word for what happened to me. I couldn't even recognize that it wasn't like normal. And a shutdown is just what it sounds like. Like it's just like a computer going offline and it's just like down. For me, whereas the meltdown is this explosion, the shutdown is an implosion, and it's internal, it's quiet. I'm usually nonverbal, or getting a few words out is like really unnatural and kind of painful, like it's a real struggle. So even like typing on the phone can be a little difficult, but that's usually how I have to communicate because I cannot verbalize well at all. And my thoughts are usually slow, very numb, and this happens to me fairly regularly as opposed to meltdowns. And I think that's one reason I didn't get diagnosed for so long, because at school or at home, if you see someone shutting down, you might not like realize because it's internal, right? It's all internalized. But with a meltdown, you're like, you can't help but see it. But with a shutdown, it can be hard to notice if you're not aware that that can happen. Both of them have some similarities. So I go from normal, kind of how I present myself now, masking and like seeming typical, to not doing so hot in a fairly short amount of time. Both of them are uncontrollable. These are not things that I can maybe hold them off for a little bit, but then they happen. I can't, they're not tantrums, they're not a choice, they're not to get something, they're not to cause drama, any of that. There's a lot of misconceptions about kids and meltdowns, and it's a scary thing to experience. It's not like a tantrum where you're like, ha ha ha, maybe I can get my way, or I'm frustrated and I'm annoyed. This is a real collapse of ability to process, ability to function. I often feel very embarrassed afterward because I'm so afraid that people are going to see me now as childish or selfish or dramatic, when really a meltdown or a shutdown is just, I have been strong for so long under all of these different problems and inputs that I just can't. Like, my body and my mind literally cannot do it. It's like the ultimate fight or flight. So I think of it as the meltdown is the body's fight response, and the shutdown is the body's flight response. So my psychologist taught me about pillars. So she said, most of the time, you're able to regulate these pillars. They are mental, emotional, physical, social, and sensory. And these are all things that take energy throughout my day. And as they get depleted and they get attacked again and again and again and again, they start to crumble and fall. And these pillars are what hold me up. They hold me away from meltdown or shutdown. But as they're attacked again and again and again, if I'm not filling that pillar back up with positive things or self-care or relaxation or whatever, they fall and say you only have 2 left and then 3 left. So when I had a headache for like a month and a half, that physical pillar was down. Even the emotional and mental ones were starting to decay. Social-wise, I couldn't really even like do any socializing. And sensory, oh gosh. So by the time I walked up to that desk, it was just like, I got nothing. I have no support for my functioning or for any sort of basic communication at all. So thinking about those pillars then, again, they're mental, emotional, physical, social, sensory, has really helped me to avoid more shutdowns and meltdowns, because I think to myself, okay, I've had a lot of sensory overload recently. I need to address this. I need to wear my headphones out more, or I need to stim more, or I need to wear my sunglasses to fill that back up. And you can sort of start to track in your life or your child's life where those attacks kind of are happening, and try to figure out ways to fill those back up so that you're not teetering on like one single pillar trying to hold yourself up. So there you have it, meltdowns and shutdowns. If you have any questions you'd like me to address a little bit more, please feel free to comment below and I will write back. Thanks, bye.